I would try, or you guys should try not to unmute your mic when you shouldn't. Okay, now, Mr. Trice, we are having your work open right now. Okay, now let me open it here so it'll be easier for me. So I'll be looking at the assignment and looking at things. Okay, so you can see my screen. Now I say the first
Yes.
is introduction. You have introduction here. Okay, let me open my Grammarly. Yeah. Hmm. So let me start from here. Okay, so let's have it on Grammarly here. That's fine. Okay, so first introduction, second is what is GitHub? What is GitHub? Why GitHub? Git versus GitHub. Okay, now we have introduction. What is Git? What is GitHub? And why GitHub? And Git versus GitHub. Okay, so what you said is in this piece of article, I will cover the basic things you need to know about Git and GitHub, which include what is GitHub, why you need this. I will also have a step guide on how to clone, how to perform, and I'll be making use of both this and this, and ultimately it will be much easier. All right, this sounds good. So before I go further, let me check if you got it from somewhere, or you got it from, it looks clean. So Mr. Tries, you're clean for now. Going forward, you might catch you up. All right, I love your introduction. It's very nice. You try to put everything together, letting us know that this is what we're going to see. Remember, introduction is welcoming. You're welcoming me, and reading this, I know that at the end of this article, look at what and what and what I would understand. That's good. Now, what is Git? So Git can be defined as a standalone control system, software used by programmers or computer technicians to track any changes in their source code during software development. It is free. All right. And developed by, okay. Now I like how you explained your Git. So even if I'm a novice, at least I will understand it a bit. Now, what is GitHub? GitHub is simply a cloud web-based Git repository hosting service. This for me is a no-no. It's correct. The definition is correct. But coming from a beginner point of view, this is too big for me to understand. I'm seeing the web-based, cloud web-based Git repository hosting service. So it's fine. So what I would like you to do is, I would like everybody to note it down, probably Mr. Trice particularly. So I would like you to submit it back. Now work on this your definition. Try to make it as simple as possible. This is looking too big. I understand it because I know I've been in software development for years, but let's say someone that is just getting to software development new, this is too big. Let alone someone that doesn't understand software. Now, this simply means that GitHub helps programmers or computer technicians to easily use the inbuilt installed Git repository on the cloud and work as a team and access it remotely instead of locally with their system alone. Yeah, so try to simplify. Like I say, this is correct. This is good. When it comes to a high level understanding, this is perfect. But remember, this is for introduction. So now don't try to make this. This is now looking a little bit too difficult for the beginner. So this entire definition for GitHub is good. But what I want you to do is ask yourself one question. If I'm new to GitHub, will I understand this definition? That question asking yourself will make you explain it in a way you would understand it coming from the new person. Now, why GitHub? I know this will be the following question to ask. Yeah, I love the journey. I love how you're. This is cool. So many will have this in mind to know why it's important or necessary to use GitHub. I will give out a summary of reasons GitHub is important and why it is needed. It's free, makes good, awesome. Okay, so let's go back to. Now, I love the table. This is super cool. Like super, super cool. This is super cool. I love how you use the table. Now, I want everybody to understand something about tables. I know the speaker of yesterday or okay, Saturday, Sunday, that was yesterday, yeah. She talked about tables. Now, you can't compare when somebody is trying to say Git. Sorry, who is that now? Who is that?
OQ, OQ. OA, sorry.
Oh, eh.
Okay.
The child wants to learn GitHub. That's good though. All right. Now imagine him writing, Git is a standalone, Git is installed, and all the rest. Now open a new paragraph. While GitHub it can be compared, like the clarity can be compared with this. This is very clear. Very, very clear. So I will urge everybody, if you know you did not use table, try to use table for this. Comparison is always good for tables. So like understand something now. This is Git and this is GitHub. So Git is a standalone software. GitHub is a cloud service. Like this is super cool. Now GitHub desktop versus Git CLI. In this section, I will talk more about what is GitHub desktop, what is GitHub CLI, including the difference between them. What is GitHub desktop? Is this and that? And I'm not seeing an image to make me know that this is GitHub desktop. So add an image that will make me understand that this is GitHub desktop. And possibly add a link to download the GitHub desktop. Now, the GitHub CLI is designed to enable us, at least I need to see an example of the GitHub CLI, at least an image of it. Or if I'm not seeing an image, you share the code. I guess the Markdown tutor showed you how to add code syntax in Markdown. So you add your example in an image and also probably an example with a code using the code syntax. Now, difference between GitHub Desktop and CLI. The difference between GitHub Desktop and CLI is as follows. GitHub Desktop uses graphics, this, and this makes use of this. So we have more differences. So you add more differences to this. And also do it like this table, which is cool. Clone. This section of this article, I will guide you on how to clone a repository. Awesome. Using both desktop and CLI, but first okay. What is clone is the process of copying a repository, a project from a cloud hosted like. So I don't think this is correct from a cloud hosted like GitHub. So you correct this section like GitHub or anywhere on the internet to your own personal local computer or machine. So for me, use one. Either use computer or use machine.
Okay.
So, and it's not necessary to put your personal because you might work for the company and it's not your personal. So on your own local or on your local, because your and own there, I don't think your is your own. So no need of adding the own there. For instance, I say your cup. So that is your cup. So imagine me saying your own cup. So your is fine. Take the own personal out. Just your local computer. So no need for the machine. The local computer and the machine, they are meaning the same thing. So you will now make it more confusing when I'll be on that. I'll be asking myself, machine. So what is machine? I'll start browsing. I'll be seeing machine. that grinds corn and the one that we normally call Okada and all the rest. Like you add more confusion to your users. So then how to clone on GitHub. Before we clone on GitHub desktop, we need to have an account with this, download this, and log in with this. If you don't have desktop yet, you can download one here. Also create an account here if you don't have one yet. After a successful download and installation of the GitHub desktop, make sure you are connected to the internet. Log in and follow these steps. Yeah, I love the images and I love how you added this image science here. This will make me understand what to do. Now, the images are not too clear. So I guess you have to retake these images again. I know it's stressful, but trust me, you face worse than this if you don't start it now. So we take these images and make them very visible and try to keep one image in one space. Don't you guys should mute yourself now. All right. So try to retake these images and make them very clear. And just like you have this image alone here, always leave them alone. Don't join them like this. It's not good. Clone the repository from the internet or click file, clone repository. Now, even me zooming is not still clear. So make it clear. So, and this is looking like it's not coming from your system. Because if you did this yourself, I guess it should be very clear. So do it yourself.
I I did it myself. It's just that I reduced the size. I made it to be 500, 400 by 300. Maybe I will increase the resolution.
Okay, that's awesome. And leave them in one line. Let me understand that this is the first step and this is the second step. All right, so
Okay.
click URL tab. This is super cool. This doesn't look like a beginner's work. I must commend you on that. Now for URL, paste the repository link from the GitHub website. Now you would need an example from the GitHub website. So which of the websites? GitHub website is GitHub website. So, it's not GitHub website. Probably say GitHub repo. And you give me the link to the repo. For example, use this repo. You can use the technical writing resource repo as example for here. Paste the repository link. Now, again, to say something, when you're writing something like this, make sure you use a use case, an example. So GitHub website, should I just go to the website and copy the website? No. So you say GitHub repo and you give a repo link, which I would use for this example. So for the local part, select the location you want to save the repository on your local machine and click clone. Okay, this is super cool. With the numbering here, this made me understand that this is 1, 2, and 3. So but I would say try to use number 1, 2, and 3 and not these Roman numerals. Many people don't know that Roman numerals. So all your users might not know that. So the 1, 2, and 3, which is common, will be much better. So the clone process will start and should take. Yeah?
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. The reason why I use the Roman numeral, which is 1, 2, and 3 of Roman numeral, is because of the Google style guide we talked about. When I checked the listing, I saw that if you want to use a sub step, you should use the number numeral, or you use the alphabets in small letter. That was the reason why I used it.
Okay. So for me, I think the alphabet would be better than the Roman numerals.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the reason is everybody might know this might look different to some persons. This might look very easy for them to understand. So, but the ABCD is fine. 1, 2, 3 is fine. But you can still use it. But for more clarity, I would say the ABCD would be much better. Now, the clone process will start and should take few seconds depending on the repository file size. This is super cool. This is like explaining something to a 6-year-old. Now, how to clone on CLI. To clone with the CLI, we need CLI software such as the Git Bash, Command Prompt, and Windows PowerShell terminal. First, we have to understand what is CLI. CLI simply means this. In this case, we use a command to act. I will be using Git Bash for this process. Okay. So now, and I like what you did here, but you have to be specific because I'm using a Mac. The other man might be using a Linux. The other person will be using Fedora. So you specify that you're using a Windows system for this example. Okay, this is good. Get the Gitbat icon. Wow, this is fine. Enter. Now commit. What is commit? How to commit on desktop. Another section of this article is commit. In this section, I will guide you on how to commit a repository or project on GitHub using both. Okay, to commit on GitHub desktop, you are required to have an account with this and this. Now, this is more about doing the repetitive aspect of this repetitive section I talked about. Where is it? Where is it? No repetitive words. Probably I will say sentence. Now, this I saw it above somewhere here. Yeah. So what you need to do is, if you explain it here, your readers are not too dumb. You understand? So, and this might make it look boring. So what you have to do is take this side off and restructure it and don't add the download and whatever. I guess just the commit to GitHub desktop and I will use both of these to be fine. So you can see you have little changes. Save. Yeah, like this ABCD, it's pretty clear. Pretty clear. And the images too, they are all too small. So make them bold, more visible. How to commit on CLI. Tab enter key, modify the file, type git status, enter tab key, modify the file name, pull request. Here comes another important section of this article. In this section, I will guide you on how to pull request on GitHub desktop and CLI. But first, we need to know what is pull request. Okay, so this first section, it's not too necessary, but you can still leave it, but not too necessary. Now, this is a process a developer, a computer technician used to inform the team about changes made to the file in the repository. In this section, I assume you have committed the repository already as discussed above. So if you don't know what is commit, I would recommend you to check the previous section. Now, what you will do here is to add a link to that top side. It will take you up there. To pull requests on GitHub desktop, follow the steps. How to pull requests on CLI. In this section, I would be making use Git Bash software for this process. Okay. Conclusion, with all said above, I believe it will be much easier to understand. And I think the conclusion is too small myself. So work on the conclusion, at least make it to be more than 20 to 50 words. So that's all, Mr. Tries. So do anybody here have question before I go to the next person? Any question?
Hello, Wisdom. I dropped a question for Tries. I wanted him to tell me the tool he used for the image capturing is so neat and very fine.
Okay, that's cool. I have a tool myself. So Mr. Tries, you can share your tool while I also share mine. So if you check in the chat, I dropped a link. So I use it a lot. It's very clean. I guess that should be the tool he used. It's very clean. and it's free for everybody. I can't see your screen again, sir. Can't people see my screen?
I can.
Okay, because Emamuzo says she can't see my screen.
I can now. I changed my network.
Okay. All right. So let's go to, is Taiwo code here? Taiwo code, are you here? Okay. All right. So let me check this person. So, Mr. Trice, before I continue, you've noted all the corrections, right?
Yes, I've noted it. I also watched the recording as well.
Okay.
I'm on movement, but there's no issue with it. I'm taking notes.
Okay, all right. Let's try. You want us to download Wisdom Moodle. No. So Wisdom Moodle, I think you need to work on your, go back to your work again and make it better. Not giving me a right file to download. Sammy Bloom or Sammy Bloom, are you here? Okay, so who is this? Is it Aviator's Code?
Yeah, it's me. I'm here.
Okay, all right. All right. You can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. Trying to get in best perfect decks. How is that a connection to this? All right. Now, this is your introduction. The beauty of open source is the opportunity it provides to tech enthusiasts. I don't think this spelling is correct all over the world. The possibility of having people from different parts of the world contribute to a particular project in real time is really incredible. And one tool that makes these contributions and collaboration possible is GitHub. In this article, you put comma here. Now one thing I want to address is in articles like this, because you're not there with the reader, you don't use the word we. It should be you, being whoever is reading the article. So imagine we will, which means you and the person, which means everybody reading your article, you will always be there with the person to read. So it will be you will. Now the you is talking to whoever is reading the article. So in this article, you will be going through some basic things you need to know. You'll be going through some basic things you need to know about GitHub so that I can start contributing to the projects today. So I think you should, coming from here, I love your style, telling us about open source, because GitHub facilitates open source. So it's pretty cool. And now letting us know about how one to make that possible. Now coming down to this section in this article we'll be going through. So from here, I think you should work on this. Now, what is GitHub? GitHub is a hosting platform that allows you to store, version, or track changes, and also collaborate with other individuals on software projects. You may be asking what all this means. Let me explain. Imagine I started a project on my local machine, but I want a place where I can save this project online so I can easily retrieve it in. All right. Now, GitHub has a way they want you to spell. They have like two ways they want people to spell GitHub. So this should be anywhere you find it, it should be like this, or I've forgotten they have two ways. So make research on that. So GitHub is also able to track changes made to that project. So same thing. Finally, GitHub allows you to collaborate after storing this. So maybe this finally shouldn't be there. You're still on the what is this thing, and the what is fine. Now, to me, the what is looking too long. So this might be boring to some persons because at some point I'll be looking for what is the GitHub and I'm having something long like this. So you explain GitHub, you give a very good explanation of this and adding the also giving additional. So I believe this section is not necessary. So this, I will also want to send it to GitHub to store and update the project with the latest changes. That's another advantage of GitHub. Fine. GitHub also tracks changes, so you can add this somewhere and not in this what is. The what is too much. Imagine you're telling me what is water and I'm giving you a long epistle. You will be asking yourself, is this what is water? So reduce it. Why GitHub? I think this question is relevant. The reason is that each person you may ask might have different platform they prefer, but GitHub seems to be more popular. Now, this is fine. Now, what I would like you to do is one, you try to use bullet points for this and not adding it in the sentence. Bullet point will be more, add more clarity to it. Now, what is the difference between GitHub and Git? Now, do it in the tabular form. Was the change made? Was the change? So this is more like repeated was a change. So try not to be repeating words or sentence or phrases everywhere. How to clone a repository. Cloning, just the name suggests. Just like the name suggests, is creating a copy of a remote repository in your local machine. Now, try to work with your punctuations very well. That would help. Now, with the repository was created, with the repository was created by you or not, this sentence here should be worked on. You can clone it. And how do you do this? You can either use the GitHub desktop or the command line. I will walk you through how to do both. Cloning with the GitHub desktop. So you will need to have GitHub desktop application installed in your local machine. If you have that installed, here are the steps to take. Open the GitHub desktop, click on File, drop down will appear, click on Clone. Okay, this is fine. So what I would like you to do is just like Tony did his own, I've sent the link to the app already. So you give those signs and number it in here to be much better. A modal will pop up. Now, everybody does. If I ask even in this meeting right now, who knows what a modal is? Many will say I don't. So, like I said, don't use words that will make your readers look for dictionary just to go through your article or your work. It's not good. So change the word modal and look for something else that would be simpler. So a modal will pop up where you can choose to use the github.com, GitHub Enterprise, or URL. You will see a list. Okay. Under the GitHub Enterprise, you will need to have a GitHub Enterprise account to use it. You would clone it to Enterprise. Under this URL. Now, this is not well formatted, so this should be under here. So work on that. Under URL, you will need to copy the URL of the GitHub repository you want to clone and paste it on the empty field after that clone. After that, click on clone. Okay, cloning with I didn't see what I'm just seeing a repeated image of the GitHub GitHub Enterprise section. So add the image that will explain this last part. Now cloning with command line before you clone. Before you can clone the repository on your local machine, you first need to get the URL of the repository in question. So you can do that by following this step. Okay, this is fine. Now this URL should be somewhere here so that they would know that this is the URL. So when they go to our URL, they will see this exact same page. It will help for understanding. Go to the URL, go to the repository you want to clone on GitHub, click on the code button, and a drop-down menu will appear. Copy the URL, okay? Open the command line. Which command line? Specify your command line and cd into any folder of your choice. Now, first of all, you should let them know that you would have to create, before changing directory, which is the cd, you need to tell them about a particular directory, which, since this is an article, an introductory article, which means you should tell them that they will have to create a new directory or folder. And one thing to note again in technical writing, the word directory and folder, they are the same thing. So don't interchange. Use one over the other. And now I would advise, and it's recommended, to use folder and not directory. Directory is more like old. It's just like somebody using Maze 1994 and somebody using, they're not calling it Maze, they're calling it Benz 2000 and, okay, let's use something of 2007, 2008. You know, people no longer use that 1980 or 1970 something mazes anymore. So the word directory is not wrong, but it's not recommended to use it. Folder is more like what people really understand. And this image circling is not clear. It's not neat. Let me say it's not neat. So use that tool to have a very clean identification. Use the command line below, clone this, paste the URL of the repository here. So for me, instead of using something like this, what I normally do is, you write syntax, git clone this command. Where am I going to do that? Okay, yeah, let me use this. So you do something like this. Syntax, you do your git clone, then you add something like URL here. Then you come down, command, then you now write the actual so I normally bold this for clarity's sake. Okay, now let's say we use what you have here. Now this is very clear. Now the user would know that, okay, this is a syntax. Now this is where I should add this. Okay. Now the next is the actual command, the git clone and the real repository. So that would ring a bell that, okay, this is where I'm supposed to add the repository URL. So that's it. So I guess you should do that like that. how to fork a GitHub repo. We want to contribute. So you need to work on the cloning with the CLI. It's not very clear. It's not very, I would say, introductory. So expand it a bit so somebody can understand how to do. Because with what you have here, I can't even clone. Now, how to fork a GitHub repository. Now, again, this image, you use very clear identification for that. So when you want to contribute to a project that isn't yours, before cloning, the first thing you do is to fork that repository. By forking that repository, we have to use another word. I don't understand. You're creating a personal copy of that repo on your GitHub. After that, you would notice that the repository will be added to your list of repositories on GitHub. Now, why do I need to fork a project, a repository? If you go ahead and clone a repo when you don't have access to without first forking it, you won't be able to make contributions to that repo because it is not yours. But when you fork the repo first, you will have a copy, you can make changes to it. So do you think this statement is correct? Have you tried that before? So I would like you to revisit this again. Try not forking a repository. You can clone a repo, make changes, and send a pull request. Test it and know if you can come back and revisit this statement. Now I had to fork. Did I? Where is the assignment? Why is GitHub repo GitHub versus this? So I did not add. I only said clone, pull request, and commit. So I think this
I
part.
think it was added. Wisdom, it was added. The fork repository was added. Maybe you removed it. I think so.
Ah.
But me, I wrote about it as well.
That's where
That you did not add it.
That's why you're
You
lamenting.
didn't add it.
I didn't add it now. I'm looking at this clearly here. I'm looking at this clearly. I didn't add it. But it's necessary. Even if you added it, it's fine. It's not a problem. I will pardon you guys for that. All right. You can push. Okay, but when you fork the repository first, you have a copy. Okay. Yakubu, I guess. So you revisit this again, and I think there should be changes made here, or changes you should make. To fork repository, follow this step, go to that repo on GitHub, click. Now you need to add a link so I will know the repo I'm talking about, which is this. You will see a new screen like the one below. That's awesome. That's super cool. That's super cool, man. Click on the create fork. You can also change the name. Awesome. If the forking is successful, you will notice now this topic, we need to leave this topic now. That's cool. You will also see that it will point you to the original repository it was gotten from. Yeah. All right, this is cool. So make now this create fork. Now you try to add that sign here to make people really understand. So it will be more of an area of focus because this image is just everywhere in my face. But when you just have that circular sign or rectangular sign here, I would like, okay, this is what you're talking about. Now, how to make a commit as you work on your projects or contribute to other projects. For each bug you fix or addition you make, you should write a commit message describing in simple, short, and clear. Try to use one, not all of them. In simple, should be much better. What changes you made? This, and looking at this is a period, full stop. So give a space there. Now again, guys, try to use Grammarly when you're writing, so it will help correct all this. Now, this commit message helps you know when and what change you made at a particular time. And if it's a project you're contributing to, It helps the maintainer of that project know what changes you made. I think I need an additional eye for this section. So we'll get back to this. Now, git add name of file to stage a particular file, or git add dots to stage or changes you made. After staging your changes, you can then proceed committing. How to make a pull request. After forking a repository and making your contribution to the project, you need a way to be able to tell the owner of that project that you made a contribution that you want them to merge. So again, this is fine, but this is not looking clean. So use that one to make it more clean. What happens when you fork a repository on GitHub? GitHub watches your fork repository and the repository you forked from. How do you know if new changes have been made to the original? This just go to your and click on these options. Okay, that's cool. We can also click on this. So just these images, change the images and add this. After you have updated your branch, you can now create a pull request without merge. GitHub desktop versus GitHub CLI. So add this in a tabular form. Then I'll review this again. Conclusion. Knowing how Git and GitHub works is important for a developer, technical writer who is looking to contribute. In this article, we have been able to, I'll be suggesting relevant. That's awesome, man. Kudos. So thank you, Yakubu. Hope you noted the corrections, right? Yakubu?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, yes, I did. I noted it.
All right. So before going forward, do we have anything to say so far? Is the class interesting?
Well, it's quite interesting wisdom. I like with with the ones you've reviewed. I think I'm correcting myself before you even get to my own work. It's fine.
All right, that's cool. So let's check the next person. Hmm. Is it Onka number one? Is anybody like that here? Is it Onka or Onka? Onka number one. Is anybody like that here? But okay. Now let's check. Who's Uzoma? Is anybody like that here? Okay.
Hello, is it on case in the
I'm seeing this
Yes,
is
Uzoma.
double
Uzoma is there.
is double OKAN number one.
Uzoma.
Not Uzoma. I'm seeing Onka number one. You people created the GitHub username now.
You know, I heard you asking is Uzoma here, something like that.
Okay. Uzoma 01. Yes. So I do one.
Yes.
Okay. Uzoma 01. All right.
It's a wisdom.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm on motion. Can I leave and come back later?
Yeah. Sure. Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So all right. So this is Uzoma 01. So table of content. What is introduction? What is GitHub? Why GitHub? Hmm. All right. Okay, so let's check. Okay, so let's check if You got it from somewhere. Now, Mr. Uzoma, you have been caught and you're going to jail for this. So you're having 8% plagiarism in your content. So since this is a plagiarized content, I think you work on it, then I will review it again. So you're having traces of areas you like this introduction, gotten from here. What is GitHub? What gotten from what is GitHub? This is the blog.hubspot.com. Is there where I got it from? True or false?
True, true.
Good one, yes. You make heaven, my brother. Okay. So now imagine, yeah, mute. Can you mute, please? Imagine this is an interview tax. You failed already, for sure. So, like I said again, try to follow instruction. The instruction I added here, they were very clear. No plagiarism is here. And I use capital no. I started with the N, very capital. So you know that the no is angry. All right. So why Git? So what I will have to do is, Uzoma, I will still have, I guess, tomorrow, because I'm not going to review all of them today. So we'll still have tomorrow to review others, I guess. So now, what I would like you to do is work on everything you know that is plagiarized in this content, and I will review it tomorrow.
Okay.
All right. So penalty for plagiarized content is won't be reviewed till you remove everything plagiarized in it. Now, what I would like you to do is not just removing. Try to make sure you understand it and write it in your own way, the way you understand it. It's fine. It's fine you make mistake and you learn from it. All right, guys. So,
Okay.
yeah, I didn't ask. Do we have Gloria Okeke here? I'm seeing Gloria. I don't know if the Okeke is attached to it. Gloria.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay, you're the Gloria Okeke.
Yes, I am.
Okay, all right. All right, let's go to your work. You can mute. You can mute. So, Habib, I guess you're raising your hand.
I wasn't seeing your screen before, but I can see now.
Okay. And we were calling you all this while you didn't. Okay, you joined late, I guess.
No. I've joined before, but I think network issue, so I joined again.
Okay, all right. All right. So we are having Gloria Okeke here. Here is my submission to the first assignment. Okay, the readme is really cool. Introduction, what is GitHub? Why GitHub? Gits and GitHub. Introduction. Okay. Okay. So let's just do a reality check. If we can trace. We didn't see anything. That's cool. Thank you, Gloria Okeke, for not sourcing elsewhere. All right, let's get down to it. Now, before I continue, we are running out of time. So what we have to do is probably we'll take this week for review because we can't take a day for that. So tomorrow we'll do it till probably on Thursday. We won't get done. So I get to review everybody's own. And I don't want to do it privately. I want everybody to, watch this video and learn from it so that you can have where to go back to and watch and learn from it. So most of the cutting edge technologies in the world are built by developers on GitHub. Most of the cutting edge technologies in the world are built by developers on GitHub or developers using GitHub or developers using a source code storage. So I guess on GitHub, okay, most I don't think the most, because we have so many cold storage available. In my previous company, I was using, or they were using, Bitbucket. In my current company, we are using both GitLab and GitHub, which are all source code generators. So maybe you can change that. Not like most. Most looks like almost everybody. So many companies even use GitLab. It will shock you if you search for the statistics. So whether virtualizing data, building software, a new game, or writing about new technology, there's a whole system and set of tools on GitHub that helps you do it even better. This article covers everything you need to know about this and how to carry out essential operations. That's super cool. That's one thing about ladies. Like ladies, they know how to simplify something. So, who is now on mute? All right, because I was hearing myself. All right, what is GitHub? GitHub is a code hosting system for Git version control that allows people sorry, mainly developers, to collaborate and work together on projects from any location in the world. On GitHub, anyone can share. So is somebody not on mute, or I'm hearing myself from elsewhere? And build, share their codes, include websites, design or development, and builds. Okay. GitHub is owned by Microsoft. All right, that's cool. Why GitHub? Developers, companies, and almost everyone working on online use Git for some reasons. Allows large group of persons to work simultaneously, reduce dependency. Who is not on mute? Okay, non-coders can use GitHub to create, edit, and update website content. Okay, now it's way more than website content nowadays. Now, Git versus GitHub. Now, I would like you to do it the way Tony did his own. Put it in a tabular form, and we have more information you would cover, like you have here, Git. While, okay, this is also a nice way, but the tabular form is much better, and I like this. This is super cool. This will let me know you got it from here, and I will not have to arrest you for that. So what I would like you to do here, add it in a tabular form, still have a position to add according to gigs for Git. It's fine. Git, GitHub Desktop versus GitHub CLI. GitHub Desktop is the platform that enables you to connect with GitHub using a GUI. With GitHub Desktop, you can complete most commands from the desktop, committing and this. Now, let me ask, Gloria, have you tried working with the GitHub Desktop?
Not really.
Okay, so try to use the GitHub Desktop. So when you use that, I think you might make adjustments to this your statement. Complete most Git commands. So you need to use it to be sure that it only does more than that.
All right.
It might be less for sure. Like the GitHub Mobile does not do a lot. So in that case, if you say most is done on the CLI, not on the GitHub Mobile, I will understand because I've used the mobile. So imagine I've not used the desktop and you tell me this, and I started using the desktop and I see I'm using all the whole command that you can use on the CLI, you can even use it on the desktop. Or the desktop might even have more features than the CLI. So which means that is what we call misinformation, or you're giving out a poor information. So just be sure, then come back to this. Now, this word, like with Grammarly, you see a much better word to use. Contrary, or probably use something else. So this, I think even myself, I'm having difficulty pronouncing it. So I don't want to mess myself up. So try to use lesser, simpler words so your users will really understand. So imagine somebody coming to this like, okay, let me check my dictionary, let me know what this means. That is what we call loss of focus, because the person has left that page, going to somewhere else to check something, and the person gets there, he must see something very interesting. And let me just check this thing. And that is how they will forget about your article. So GitHub CLI is an open source tool that allows you to interact with this from the command line on your computer instead of the GUI. GitHub. So this should be done in a tabular form too, for clarity's sake. Now let's move over to how to carry out various operations on GitHub, like cloning. So I'm wondering why we have all of them being bold. Is this a subtopic, or this is an error?
I just impression.
So I didn't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes.
I think I added it for impression's sake.
For what?
To make an impression.
Okay. Now, okay, you can mute. Now let's move over to how to carry out various operations. So I think this, to me, if I would suggest, I would say you remove it. For the bold, remove it. I don't think it's necessary having it bold, because I'm not seeing much point here. Like now, let's move over to how to carry out this. So this is, just leave it, remove the bold. We'll be using the GitHub CLI for illustration. Cloning. Now this cloning, to make it, now we need to learn more about clarity. To make something very clear, easy to be found. We want to find something easily. Just like our tutor talked about the information architecture. When you use cloning as a subtopic here, you explain cloning and you go under the cloning and do how to clone on GitHub, not having it like this. So I would say work more on the clarity. This should be subtopic, explain the cloning, then how to clone on GitHub should be a subtopic in this whole topic here, the cloning topic. The cloning is a topic, sorry, then the how to clone on GitHub will be a subtopic. Now follow the steps below to clone a repository. 1, 2, 3. Now, okay, you used this, open GitHub. Now the cloning, open GitHub, navigate to, okay. Now open GitHub is looking like GitHub of desktop. Navigate to the GitHub repository that you want to clone. Click clone. So open the GitHub repo or open the GitHub. Look for a proper message for this. Open the GitHub website or open the GitHub repo, which is that repo we're talking about. Navigate to the GitHub repository that you want to clone. Okay, open the GitHub website or open github.com. Navigate to the repository that you want to clone. Click code and copy the URL shown. Now, copy. We didn't see anything like copy here. Now, you can just highlight here and number it, maybe number 4. So they will know that, okay, this is the copy. Or you highlight only here and number it number 4. So they will know, okay, this is where I can copy, because everybody is not that enlightened. Remember, this is introductory. So this is not specifically for experts. So if it's for experts, there is no need for introduction to GitHub, because they know introduction to GitHub already. Now, open the terminal. How can I open the terminal? Where is the terminal? So we should show the terminal. If you're using a Windows system, you specify that in Windows, go here and go here and go here and open the terminal. Navigate to the particular directory where you want to clone, where the cloned file to move, where you want the cloned file to move. Now, you also need to show them how to navigate to that directory. You've opened the terminal, CD here, CD here, CD here to get to the folder. And the word directory, use folder, not directory. Like I said, directory is not wrong, but it's not recommended. So now you specify where the folder is. When you download it, this is where I download, because before you download or you want to copy a repository, you need to know where you want it to live. Now, this is where I want you to stay. Show them how to get there. Now, type git clone, the URL you copied earlier. Okay. Tap enter on your keyboard to create your local clone. All right. That's super cool. And to make it much better, you can also go back at the end of this. So before you successfully clone the repository, you can also now show them the repo that was created. Now, this is the repo you cloned from GitHub. This is it. So that they will know that, oh, if I clone it, it will now stay there, like you said earlier. So how to commit changes on GitHub? A commit is a change made to one or more files on the project. Adding commits on GitHub allows you to track progress and modifications as you work. Git regards each commit in the project as a safe point where you can refer to it if there is a bug or you want to make other adjustments. Okay. Each commit has a corresponding commit message describing why a particular change was made. Okay. And you need to indicate that commit also can be empty. Somebody can drop an empty commit message. Now, how to commit changes on GitHub? The steps here will guide you through the process of committing a change on GitHub. Notes. Now, these notes, there is a syntax for it on Markdown that will make it very, very clear, better than having this capital note here. Sorry, this bold note. So it is advised to change the file branch and avoid working directly on the main branch before committing a change. This helps arrange different features. Okay, that's cool. Now, steps. Open the file contact.html on VS Code. First of all, what is contact.html? Second is, where can I even find this contact.html? So now, when you're writing, try not to put yourself there. Put others. Again, it was stated in our last meeting about knowledge base when she talked about putting others and not yourself. So here you're putting yourself because you know where contact page.html is. But me right now, I don't even know. And there is no link for me to go and find the contact.html. So use a more clarified example for this. Change the file branch by typing the command git check out this. Now you can give examples of how to create HTML, but this will be super difficult for anybody. So use a simpler example for this. Change the file branch by typing command git checkout -b, which is branch name. That done, continue to commit change. Okay. Number 3, go back to the file and edit whatever you want to work. You want to code, anything you want to code, syntax, etc. Now, I would like you to add more life to this. Open this, give me a picture of what it is. change the file branch name with the CLI, gives branches. You gave me a syntax, show me the code you did there. Not having this picture, I don't think this picture will be necessary here. We have a syntax for, oh, where is, oh, where is this? Hmm. Okay, so we have a syntax for coding. When you want to highlight code, this is the syntax. Do this. Let's say you're talking about HTML. This is it. Now, if you want to specify if it's JavaScript example, it will now highlight it for you. Now, this is what you will do. Where you open the file, when you show us the file you're talking about, changes on VS Code. Now, show us on your VS Code. Have a picture of that VS Code file. Change the file branch by this. You gave us this, fine and good. Now, give us the code by adding it here. If it says git branch -b, then you can say the thing is Uloma is the branch name you want it to bear. Something like this. So we are having it like this. It's very clear. It's very clear. So do it instead of having this static image there. So it will help add more life to what you have now. Go back to the file and edit whatever you want. Specify what they want. Don't use the whatever as if I can just edit anything. There are reasons why I edit something. So, edit whatever you want is not right. Edit, you're the one. This is you're guiding me right now. You're telling me I should do whatever I want, which is not good. So you're just telling me it's none of my business. So try to add more life and also be mindful of the use of words. Edit whatever you want is not good at all. It's not recommended. So edit this file with this name. You're guiding me. So guide me properly, like a guider. Imagine you're going on vacation and you went to the forest reserve or something, and the guider takes you to the gate and says, okay, this is where we are now. This is the gate of the reserve. Now go wherever you want to go, then come back. You're not going to feel happy about that. The person will like, okay, go to this point A. Why the person will be at the front guiding you? Now this is this. Now, okay, let's go to point B. So don't use edit whatever you want. Specify what they want to edit. So edit whatever you want. Code, syntax, no. Specify. Type git add. This, since you're typing, you add the syntax, the code syntax for it. They have also the code syntax you want to do for a single line code. Look at it. So it will highlight it like this for you. So you can go back to our Markdown class too to check for that. Type a commit message, add those code syntax here. So the message at the end of the commit should be concise and clearly describe the change you just made. You made changes. Perhaps you added a new feature or a fixed typo. So if you specify what they want to do here, I don't think you have this statement here because right now you don't know what they want, what they made changes for. So number 6, type git push original branch to push back to GitHub. Now you also need to give them the syntax, give them the exact command they will do. Now these changes will be made only to this file. So this should be out of this content for now. Now, pull request, how to create a pull request. So like I said again, this should be the heading here, the topic, this coming after explaining how to. Now, after committing a change, it's time to make the pull request. So a pull request is a way to propose changes and request that the repository owner review, pull in, and merge your contribution into their branch. Now, click the compare and pull request button on the repository you committed a change. Now, you need to explain the step of how you even got to this compare and pull request. Because from a beginner right now, we're wondering, how did you get to this compare and pull request? So number 2, check the changes and make sure they are what you want to submit. Add a comment describing the change. Click create pull request. So when you're done, that's fine. Once the change is approved, the pull request source branch will automatically merge into the branch. Now you also have a scenario where it is not approved. Add it here. The end, I said conclusion, and you're giving me the end. This is not a movie. So change its conclusion to this, the end to conclusion. And here is a summary of all you need, all you learned. So the conclusion would be preferred not to be in just this bullet point alone. You explain it more than just having this bullet point. So that's all. Any questions so far? Hi guys, everywhere is quiet. Any question? Okay, I'm seeing chats. Suleiman, you need to go to church.
Thank you so much for the review. I've taken down the correction.
Okay, that's good. All right, guys. So it's pretty late, and I'm exhausted myself. So we go again tomorrow. Now, what I will do from now to Thursday is I would review only those that have not reviewed their work till I review all of them. Then I will give you guys some days or probably a week to work on the corrections. So you can now, I would like you to take your time to work on the corrections. Then we'll come back again and we'll do this process again. So we get to learn and enjoy. So any question? Or you don't like it that way, bring your suggestions before we close.